Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we're doing bowl predictions, we're doing awards predictions, and we're talking a lot of news. The map set was just released for ranked in the CDL. Some other news with challengers and some new platforms being posted. Fantasy COD is live. Going to talk about all that. If you enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Got a bit of a special episode today, Brock, because it is your birthday. Happy birthday, everybody in the comments. Comment down
Yes,
below. Happy
thank
birthday to
you.
Brock.
Hell yeah.
Uh, he's out here grinding, doing the pod on his birthday.
Yeah. You know what it is, but I did not go to work today, so
So you weren't really grinding today. You were just,
yeah,
you were
we're
chilling.
chilling and doing some Call of Duty talking, excited for the podcast.
That's how it should be. My sister's company requires their employees to take off on their birthday, and if
Oh,
it's
that's
like if your birthday
nice.
is like a Saturday or Sunday, they require you to take the Friday or Monday off. Like
Oh,
they literally won't allow you to work. I'm like, that's how it should be.
yeah. That is nice.
Yeah. But Brock, we've got a lot to talk about today.
We
Um,
do.
There is, I mean, I actually had everything down that I wanted to talk about, like written, and then went away. I was getting some water, getting all set to go, and then I looked at my phone and I saw that they announced the map set. So I'm like, okay, I'll add that in there to talk about. So we're gonna talk about that a little later in the news. But a couple random things I saw this week. There's a new platform. I actually don't know how new it is. It's just the first. It's new to me. It's the first time I've seen it. It's called Esports Rivals, I believe. I saw them like tweet. Let me see if I can find it here. I saw them tweet something like somebody was like, "Oh, I wish there was a platform for GB." Like I think it was like the rotation or uh
Hmm.
like one of those like info platforms. They're like, "I wish there was a thing to play this on or something." And this esports rivals company like tweeted out, here it is, yeah. The rotation tweeted like feels like something's missing the launch of this COD, and it was a picture of the game battles logo. And then Esports Rival said we launched something pretty similar UI, easy functions, all free to play, ladders and tournaments, adding new features every day to make this the best uh free to play platform out there. Would appreciate if you checked it out. Esports Rivals. I really haven't checked it out much. I don't know like how great it is, but it has like a similar vibe to GB. You can definitely tell they were going for that, and it's like a
Hmm.
place where you can play ladders and like free tournaments. So uh, unfortunately for them, rank play is coming out earlier than like ever this year, which obviously usually hurts like the online
Hmm.
platforms. Because like for us, once rank comes out, we kind of are straight away from that. We just play ranked, but definitely something to look at and check out. I'm definitely gonna check this out. Because I mean, in the times where ranked isn't out, GBs are always fun, and it could be fun to like hop in some S&D tournaments for free and stuff. Because that's one thing you can never do on GB is there really wasn't ever free tournaments.
Yeah. Also, just a good way to practice the map pools without, if you don't really care too much, more you care about your like rank play, like rank and stuff. Just
Yeah.
get some practice in that way and just like, something fun to do when rank play's not out. But like you said, rank plays come out so early this year. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them because like for us, like we don't like grind GB, but like a lot of times what we would do is like, with rank usually coming out like December, January, February, like once we're kind of like, we got our camos in pubs or we're kind of over the pubs grind, we'll like go start to check out GB. We'll play some searches and some hard points and start to like get the map pool down so that way when rank comes out, we can hit the ground running. This Thursday is going to be interesting because
hmm.
I've watched minimal tournament stuff and I've like pretty much played nothing competitive this year. Usually we hop in GBs or we play eights, but it's just been such a shortened, condensed year this year that we haven't really done as much of that because of the fact that, the game came out late October and all of a sudden, less than a month later or a month later, we're hitting ranked play. And it's been like I've been grinding for camos, I've been just busy with life, and it's like everything's condensed and it's like we haven't had a chance to play GBs. Normally you have months to play GBs.
Yeah, normally like at least a month or two, 'cause since rank would usually come out like January, February, March, that time frame.
Yeah, so we're just like all condensed and I don't know. It'll be fun. I'm definitely interested to check this website out. I'm just how much of a market do you think there is for this? Because like there definitely used to be like back when like game battles was out and like the online tournaments, like I think like BO3 when those were like popping, like
Hmm.
there definitely was a market for it. But I feel like online tournaments are just like they're popular for like the first week or two of the game and like they just kind of like die out nowadays for like years now. So I'm just like hopefully for these people it's successful, but like I just feel like the market for these online tournament platforms is just so limited right now, at least for Call of Duty. I don't know about for other esports, but at least for Call of Duty.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hmm.
Which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because like the S&D like S&D tournament like scene was such a big part of not only like Call of Duty's history, but like the CDL and like competitive COD's history because how many players, back in the day, like that was like the path to pro for a lot of it. Like when like Tej was coming up in World War II, he basically just played S&D. Like a lot of the kids, like I believe Zuma came from S&D and stuff. Like remember when Blast came into the league, he was supposed to be a big prospect. Like
Yeah.
Simp, Illy, even like people like Selim and Dashy were involved in like the S&D scene pretty heavily. Like that was a way that a lot of players like made their name was through S&D tournaments, like dominating those. And then like it was always a big deal when they were like, this year I'm switching to variant, like
Yeah.
trying to play everything. So it is unfortunate that those have died out because you don't really ever hear too much of kids coming up like through S&D. They just have to jump into challenges right away and like play. Whereas like before it was like S&D kids were like the feeder system for the pro league.
Yeah. And that probably maybe has to do some with switching over to PC in the last couple of years because all the hacking and stuff in a way.
Yeah. It's harder to tell who's legit.
Yeah, that's
And
also.
yeah, and also yeah, the barrier to entry too with PCs obviously being much more expensive and less accessible than console.
Yep.
You know, that could have something to do with it. People don't
Mm.
play as many tournaments on console and stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, then another interesting one, Brock. Illy. Illy announced that he is a free agent for the upcoming Challengers season.
He's
How much?
back.
I mean, he's a very good player when he's playing, but how much can you trust him if you sign him? Like what? How much? If you're a challengers like player, you got nothing to lose because like you hop around teams like crazy anyway, so you might as well take a chance at a good player like Illy if he wants to play with you. But if you're a CDL team, like how much can you truly trust him? I kind of have my feelings on who can sign him or like who should sign him, but like I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like if you're a CDL team, how can you trust him? He's what played the full year in MW19 and it was awesome. He won champs.
Yep.
And then Cold War, he had an overall like not the best year with Dallas Empire, but they had like a lot of solid placings. And then
Mhm.
Vanguard starts out amazing. He wins the first major on Optic, and then shortly after goes out with his injury. MW2, he comes back, gets benched, and doesn't really play the rest of the year. MW3, he gets on Surge, gets benched for whatever reasons. It's never been fully disclosed. So the dude hasn't really played a full season since Cold War.
Yeah.
That's like 2020.
Yeah, it's definitely been a rough go for Illy. What teams can, the bottom half, the bottom teams can maybe take a shot and hopefully makes it through more than a month or two.
Exactly. That's the question I was going to ask you is what as a team owner if Brock if you're a team owner what makes you able to warrant the risk on Illy? Because obviously there is a potential high reward. Like he's a good player.
Yep.
Like he definitely can be a player that you can win with.
Superstar S&D player.
Yeah, that's what it's like. What makes you think that like I don't know, what warrants it in your eyes to pick him up? So like for me it's if I'm a top team, like obviously if I'm like your LA Thieves, your Optic, your FaZe, the top three, there's no way. Even if I'm a team like Toronto Ultra, where I have a really solid team and I'm one of the favorites to be like on the inside track to the top four, top five, I'm not taking a risk on them. But I would say if I'm a team that usually doesn't get the big time talent, like a Vegas from previous years, um, I don't know, teams like this year that we're considering towards the bottom. This year's a little harder because besides Falcons, just because of their lack of experience, there aren't too many teams where we're just like, oh my god, this team is like definitely going to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
So like to me, I've got to be like a bottom four team who usually doesn't get a lot of talent, and I'm like, man, a player like of Illy's talent doesn't usually come to my team, so I'm just going to take a risk and hope he plays the full year. Or like if we kick off the year and Illy's playing amazing in challengers and my team is really struggling, I'm going to be like, screw it. It's the perfect time to take a risk on him because like I got nothing to lose. My team sucks anyways. If he doesn't play, we're gonna just be bad either way. So let's take a risk and like swing for the fences. I've got to be a bad team willing to just take a risk and hope I can lock him down for multiple years, and then all of a sudden I'm the one that gets lucky and he plays.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's kind of like it's almost in a way like an injury prone player in a sport. Uh, I don't know. This is I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but the for some reason the person that came to mind is like a Kawhi. Like the Clippers keep signing him to these big deals. He's under a big contract, and like he just it seems like every time an NBA season rolls around, Kawhi, oh, he's out indefinitely. Oh, he played one game in the playoffs. He's out the rest of the playoffs. But like
Yeah.
I have PTSD from him destroying the Bucks in that conference finals in 2019. Like when Kawhi does play, he is an incredible player. He's a top player. So
Yep.
it's got Illy's like maybe not to the level of like Kawhi is considered like an MVP talks. Illy's maybe not that level in terms of CDL rankings, but Illy's a very good player. And it's like, do you sign him? If you're a bottom team, I think it's worth taking a risk to try to sign him. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. You're probably going to be bad anyways. But if it does pan out, you could have a better player than you're used to having.
Yeah, agreed. One of the bottom teams, and like you said, definitely a starter when things go right for him.
Yeah. When things go right for him, he is very good.
Yeah. And I heard that he said, I don't know if he said that or someone said he got offered a spot, but
He
he
did.
didn't want to take it.
I think he said that, but I think he said, yeah, he got offered a spot. I don't know if I never saw the team if it was revealed, but sounds like he got offered a spot and it was like a bottom team, so he didn't want to take it.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know. I guess my thought on that though is like, what team could have offered him
he should have
where
took it.
he was saying no? Because like when I look at the rosters, like I keep forgetting the Minnesota roster is Estriel, Paul X, Nero, and Geo. Yeah.
Yep.
So like if that was Minnesota, I feel like could be a team that offered him. I would assume that would be in place of Geo. So like, you're coming to the league and you probably have limited options, like because people know that they can't really trust you to stay on a team because you haven't been able to for 4 years. Like if it was with that team, like if he was offered to play with Nero and Estriel as a sub duo and then Paul as the main AR, like I feel like that's a pretty
Hmm.
good team. And then I mean, let's look at some of the other teams that he could have like potentially gotten offered. Like trying to
Mm,
here find that picture of all of it. Like let's say he got offered to be on that Carolina team, Slasher, Illy, and then if they had like they cut out Vivid and they had TJ and Gwyn, like I'm taking that offer if I'm him all day.
yeah.
Like I don't know. I just it seems very odd to me. Like I'm trying to I can't find this picture. I have like a picture save. Here it is. So like obviously where he wouldn't get on the top three teams. Boston didn't seem like they were making a change, so I don't think it's them. That would be maybe the team I wouldn't take. But like if you got offered Priest's spot on Gentlemates with Linz, Kismet, and Skies, I'm taking that all day if I'm him.
Yeah. I'm
We're
sure the
assuming he
top four, top five didn't offer.
Yeah, we're assuming obviously no Heretics offer.
Yep.
Uh, Surge, if he got offered nasty spot with Hixie 04 and a booze, I'm taking that from his standpoint. Obviously, if he got offered Bean's spot to play with Insight Kleenex and Joe Deceives in his home country, Toronto, Canada,
Hmm.
uh, taking that all day. Obviously, didn't get the optic offer. If he got Sib spot, we know he probably didn't get that, but I would take that. So like, they're really when I'm looking at this list, unless maybe it was Boston, but I don't think it was because they weren't offering teams. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me on how he turned down an offer.
Yeah. I, I don't understand either because none of the teams really. I don't know how he would say no to that.
Like, is it an ego thing? Because, like,
Kind of has to be in a way.
because I don't know how you're turning down offers if you're somebody that, like, you're just hoping to get a chance back. Like, most of these teams have rosters that could realistically make champs. Like, I could see any of them realistically making champs. So how are you not taking one of those offers? It makes no sense to me unless there's just some context that we're missing here.
Yeah. So it's definitely weird.
Yeah. Um, I guess sticking on the challengers wave, Brock. Moving on from Illy, there's apparently a very real possibility that there will not be a challengers open in Madrid at Major One. So normally when we see like there's no challengers event, like there's not going to be a challengers thing. It's like, what are they doing? Like we need them to go to the grassroots. This one, I guess, just in my head, I don't know the full reasons, but this one seems to make a little more sense to me. So
Yeah.
like, it's in Madrid, obviously a majority or a lot of the players and organizations and stuff. Obviously, all the organizations are based in North America in terms of the CDL teams. I don't know for sure, but I think a majority of challengers players. I think the biggest challengers pool is from North America, especially in the top teams.
Mhm.
So, and also I think their venue, like they said, their venue plans in the city changed, made it potentially all go up in the air because I think it was originally supposed to be in Barcelona. So I'm sure that means the venue changed. Obviously, their plans, the city changed. I'm thinking it also has to do with travel expenses. Was my initial thought. Like,
Yeah.
what org is going to sponsor their team to fly from? Let's say they're in Texas. Like, what org is going to sponsor like some random challengers org that's probably a small org, maybe doesn't have a lot of money. What are they going to do to fund a bunch of players to travel to Europe? Uh,
Mhm.
pay for their hotel, pay for all that expenses, pay the players to play in that tournament for literally no return. Like it's more realistic if it's like, hey, we're gonna fly you Texas to Florida, pay for those tickets and put you up in a place. But flying them, across the world is kind of wild. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of like moving parts and stuff.
yeah, for these challenger orgs that aren't, big money orgs for the most part.
Yeah, so like I said, like the city change too probably has to do it with a part of it, and just overall, just probably just really difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, now the other side of the coin for that is like if you're an EU player and you're like, well, EU players have to travel from Europe to the States for every event. That's totally a fair point.
Hmm.
I just think I could be wrong, but I think the minority of players comes from the other regions. I think NA is the biggest region. I could be wrong, like I said, but if I am wrong, then that makes no sense. But I do think NA is the biggest fraction of the challengers population.
Yep.
Um, I guess I don't know. Maybe they could just host a challengers land for whatever teams can show up. So like EU teams can show up, but then you could say it could be unfair. But then you can make the argument that's unfair for European players to have to travel to NA all the time. I don't know. It's just a very difficult conversation and a lot of moving parts, which is why it's probably up in the air. But I can't imagine the logistical challenges that come with having an event in
Yeah.
another country. Like I guess I mean we have them in Canada, but like you know what I'm saying, like another country that's very far away and not in North America.
Yeah.
Probably a logistics nightmare.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Um, all right, and then Brock crossplay apparently has to always be enabled to play ranked. So for us, this isn't a big deal. We play on PC, with controller, but like we're probably always gonna have it on for that reason. But it does kind of suck for console players because like it was a good way to avoid cheaters. If you're a
Hmm.
console player, you can turn it off. Like I guess you can have people using like Cronus's and like other devices on like a console that help them, like shoot straighter and stuff, but they can't unless I don't think they can at least. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's much harder to like fully hack. Like I don't really think there's many wallers on console. I could be so wrong.
Yeah.
I know nothing about hacks, but I don't really think people wall on console. Could be wrong, but obviously I know they do on PC. So that sucks. If you're a console player, you can't avoid the cheaters as easily as you could before by turning off crossplay.
Yep. Yeah, and it's what we saw some of these streamers this past year do that, go to console because of how much the hacking has been so bad.
Yeah, we're like Parasite and Havoc, like doing like a series where they were grinding through ranked on console and stuff.
Yeah, just good for the mental when you play crossplay off on console, no hackers and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, we usually get to a point in ranked where we play some hackers every year, and like it's like right away you can just tell. I mean, like I remember in Cold War, remember we played that one hacker in Cold War? That
Oh
was like
yes,
you like that was like the most obvious aimbot ever. Like you would just like you watch the kill cam, you just instantly snap it onto heads. Like he would just full 180 randomly like click straight to your head. Like the most obvious aimbot you could possibly think of.
yeah,
Uh but like a lot of times you play like less obvious cheaters where it's like they're not full aimbotting, so it's like they can't hide it. It's like you can tell they're walling when you watch them play, and it's just so unfortunate. It's just so demoralizing when you load into a lobby and like we played a control. I remember on Karachi or something last year, and like through 3 rounds, a dude had like 60 kills. Like he was getting every kill, and it's like he's walling, and it's so annoying. It's like it kills your motivation to play that game.
yeah. It really is demoralizing.
Yeah, so that is
Right.
unfortunate for console players.
Yep, and gotta get the anti cheat to work. So one of these days.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Then Brock, the map set for ranked slash the CDL was just recently revealed, as I said, kind of in the start of the episode. Um, I think we have to believe that Hacienda is coming in at some point for probably all modes, hopefully for red card in both search and hardpoint. And
Hopefully.
then hopefully that or like something is coming in for control because as of now, they only have 2 control maps listed. I think we're assuming Hacienda is probably going to come in, but it's very unfortunate
I
because
would.
2 control maps, if we start the year with that, that's not the greatest.
Yeah, it's not the greatest, but I guess it's what we have for now. And like I said, we need some other maps into the pool very soon.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the maps listed, like it's the same maps for hardpoint and search and destroy. So, protocol, whatever. I think people have said it's played okay. Red card, I'm not excited for. That map is just way too big. That map sucks.
Yeah,
I think
red.
rewind could be what are you gonna say about red card?
I said red card. I just did not have fun in pubs with it. So hopefully, wishful thinking will be a little better for search and destroy on hardpoint.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I don't think it will be. I don't think we need to get our hopes up too much.
Yeah. We need Hacienda ASAP.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. And then Rewind, I think that could be a pretty good map for Search and Hardpoint.
Yep.
And we got Skyline. I think that could be pretty good as well. And Vault, I think could be pretty good. So those are maps I'm somewhat high on. I mean, I could be wrong on them. Like I said, I haven't watched a ton. I haven't played at all in terms of competitive, just pubs. But I'm
Yep.
overall pretty hopeful for a lot of the maps. I know it's not the best map set. Definitely isn't the best map set we've seen in terms of like other games. But I'm somewhat hopeful for at least a few of the maps. And then control wise, I just don't know. Protocol control seems a little sus to me though. I don't know how I feel about that. In general, I don't know how I feel about protocol. I didn't love it when I played it in pubs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love. I don't know how much you really love all these maps in control mode.
Yeah, and like I'm skeptical, but I'm also just like, and you're the same way. I'm just somebody that really loves playing competitive COD and watching it. So like, I feel like I can make any maps work because like, I mean, I thought the MW2 maps were absolutely the worst thing I've ever played. I thought a lot of the Vanguard maps were the worst thing I've ever played. I thought MW2 was maybe the worst COD like ever, like the recent MW2. I hated it. And like even MW3 last year, I thought the game was actually like overall pretty solid. And throughout all those games, whether I thought they were solid or not, I had fun playing like ranked on them for the most part because I just enjoy playing ranked. So like regardless of what it is, I think that the base of this game is so fun and the movement is so fun and it's like a higher time to kill and like it's going to be a very high engagement game. I just think regardless of the maps, it's going to be fun to play, but obviously we want to have the best maps we can possibly have.
Yep, I'm on board with you with that.
Then, Brock, our last thing for news before we jump into our bold predictions for the year and our award predictions. This is an exciting one. Fantasy COD is now live on Breaking Point. So I believe it went live on the
Ooh.
14th. I saw something about it. Kind of forgot to like mention something to you about it. Have you seen anything about that?
I want to say I seen someone like screenshot like their draft, but I didn't really think too much into it.
So it looks really fun. I think with our friends, we're definitely gonna have to just like start a league for fun. I think maybe we can do a listeners league. I This was well before you were on the podcast. It was actually before Kyle was on the podcast too. There was like what was it called? Draft. What was that? Do you remember what that site was called? It was like a fantasy esports site.
Uh,
Oh my god, I can't remember what it was called. Draft
I
Buff.
me-
I think it was Draft Buff.
I remember drafting some players.
I think it was Draft Buff. I could be wrong. That could be very wrong. But it was a fantasy like esports, not just COD, just in general any esport. And we started a league. I had a listener league with like a bunch of people. I think it was like a 10-man listener league. It was before, I think it was before Kyle was on the podcast, and it was definitely before you were. It was like in MW19 or something.
Mm-hmm.
We had a
Yep.
listener league. So that was fun. Something that if people are interested, we could set one up. We get Brock and I could have separate teams, and we could get, whatever. I think it's 4 to 10 people. So we could get, 8 other people. In the league with us, or if we want to do a little less, so people could have bench players, you could do like 6 other people, 4 other
Mm-hmm.
people, whatever. Um, but something that's interesting, yeah, there's like a full draft board. You start SMGs and ARs, and it's like based on a ton of metrics that Breaking Point tracks, like your kills per 10 in this mode, your kills per 10 in this mode, your total kills, your assists or whatever, your hard point time, your bomb plants, like all that. So I'm excited. That could be something that could be really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll maybe have to do a listener league or something for that. Um, but yeah, Brock, let's jump into our bold predictions. Usually we do this every offseason, as we get towards the start of the year and we mostly know rosters and all that stuff. So bold predictions, they can be, anywhere on they can be, a little bold, they can be very bold, like to mix it up a little bit. Um, and keep I don't know. We'll just see how bold they are. I wrote down, 3, 4. I don't know which ones exactly I'm gonna start with. And then we're gonna pick MVP, our most improved player, and we'll talk about rookie of the year and what that means. So
Yeah.
I'll let you kick it off, Brock. With whatever bold prediction you want to start with for the year.
Oh man, these are like real bold.
Okay,
Bold's good.
you think you went even bolder than I did? I don't think I went crazy bold for mine overall. They're bold, at least a few of them, but I don't think they're like
Hmm.
completely wild.
Actually, I'll say this one first since it's like the least boldest one I have. I said Cloud9 makes a roster change after major one after underperforming.
Oh, I would consider that pretty bold because I think a lot of people view them as, one of the better teams outside like the big three.
Hmm.
So I would say that, I mean, I think I would consider that pretty bold. So like for those of you that, haven't paid as much attention this offseason, Cloud9 is Attach, Sib, Kremp, and Mac. So, with that AR duo of Attach and Sib, Kremp have coming off a pretty good year, and Mac, people have some faith in him. Uh, that's viewed to be a pretty good roster. Like a lot of people think like a top 6 roster. So that I would say that's very bold saying they make a change. Do you have anybody in mind, you think, for the change?
I want to say crimp, but I don't know why. Just maybe lack of consistency.
I don't think it's a bad shout at all, to be honest. I actually don't hate it as a prediction because I can see a world where like we talked about it. We have concerns about the subs on this team. Like Mac coming off a year off, who knows if he's really going to hit. We know Mac can be a good player, but who knows if he's going to hit that rhythm early. They could be forced to make a roster change because of that. And we both said Kremp can be very inconsistent. So I don't know. We're not 100% sure if he's going to be able to, replicate a performance that he had last year where his team had some good success towards the end of the year. Not 100% sure on that.
Hmm. He's just so so up and down. I don't know. Just like maybe the time would be ticking if if they start doing bad with the New York squad slash Cloud9.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see it. I don't hate that prediction at all. That's one that I can get on board and concede as a certainly a possibility.
All right, I like it. Let's hear
Um,
yours. One of yours.
I'll go with hmm, I'm gonna go with one that I think is pretty bold. I said one team will win 3 of the 5 events this year between the top 3. One of the teams is gonna win 3 of the 5, including champs. I'm not including EWC in this stuff. Um, but one of our top 3 teams is going to win 3 out of 5 events.
Oh, okay, I
Which I
like
feel
it.
is I feel is pretty bold because a lot of years we've now seen where like, there's a different team that wins each major or like, people win 2 events out of like 5 majors and champs, but we don't usually see a lot of teams winning, a majority of the events. Honestly, I think the last time we may have seen a team win 3 events was like Phase Cold War. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Like where they just dominated a year. Like we've seen teams win maybe 2 events, like New York won a couple events, but actually, no. New York did win 3 events in MW2, didn't they?
They won the third, yeah, at champs.
Yeah, because they won the first and the last, right? In terms of
Yep.
majors, and then they won champs.
Yep.
So I guess it did happen in MW2. So I don't know. I still feel like it is bold to say somebody's going to win 3 of the 5 events when you have teams this good, where you think each of them will win one
Mhm.
at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
I don't think it's like the most bold, but I don't know. I could see it happening. One of those teams just goes on a good run.
Mhm. All right. Well, for one of my next ones, I have. Which one do I want to pull out? I'll save this. I'll do this one. I said General Mates will become a top 4 team off the play of Lins, and then the others will play better than last year and be consistent together. Since that team of 3, like old New York squad, is pretty damn good together.
Okay. I think that's not. I mean, I can see the vision. It's not the worst prediction, and also it's like I definitely think it's bold because I feel like a lot of people are not pitting them to be one of. I think a lot of people are just like, ha, they have like budget Hydra,
Yeah.
and they're just going to be a lot worse because like Priest was bad last year. Like I don't think a lot of people have faith in that team at all. Uh, so I don't think it's the worst prediction. I don't know if I see it happening because I just don't. I don't know. I just don't have that much faith in that team, but I can see the vision for it.
Yeah. Division. I know. For some reason, I just think that team is just gonna play better than they're expected to. But who knows? 2 months down the line, they could be like last place.
Yeah, this year is very jumbled in the bottom.
Yeah.
So, Brock, for me, this kind of goes against my first prediction, which is why I didn't know if I was going to say them both, but I'm just going to say it. Because obviously I'm thinking that, well, at least one team's going to make 3 champ Sundays between the top 3, but I'm going to say we're going to see multiple different teams. Well, not multiple. I shouldn't say multiple. We're going to see a team that is not one of the top 3 crack into a top 3 finish at least 3, if not 4 of the events. I'm not including champs because I think somehow at champs we'll find the top 3 finished in the top 3, but in the 4 majors, I think at least 3 times we're gonna have a team that's not LAT, Optic, or FaZe crack the top 3 in placings. So I think, like, one of the top 3 is gonna finish outside
Okay,
of top 3 placing at each major, 3 or if not all 4 majors.
I like
I
it.
feel like it's not, like, crazy, crazy bold, but at the same time, like, I think it would be like, if you told me, like, 3 out of 4 majors, like Optic, FaZe, or LAT are gonna finish 4th or worse, I'd be like, "That's pretty surprising." I feel like there's gonna be at least 2 or 3 majors where they finish top 3.
Mhm.
I just
I
think that
like.
there's something weird is gonna happen with, like, seeding, whereas, like, maybe one of them struggles a little bit online and they have to, like, play each other in the first round sometime.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get in a weird situation where, like, a couple other teams will have hot stretches and they'll be, like, the 3 and 6 seed and they play each other, or the 4 and 5 seed and they play each other, and, like, some weird stuff could happen, with CDL points for I don't know. Like, I could just see something weird happening where they have to play each other, matchups get weird, somebody gets knocked to losers round 1, bottoms out a little bit, and somebody else finishes in the top 3.
Yep.
Alright,
All right.
where are you going next?
All right. For one of mine, I said let's the winner is in the majors. The champs winner will not come from one of the winners in the major.
So, you're thinking somebody that wins champs won't have won a single major?
Yes. Surprisingly,
So,
it's come out of nowhere.
you think that's gonna be one of the top 3 teams that just didn't happen to win a major, or you think it's gonna be, like, one of the random non-top 3 teams just storms out and wins champs?
I think maybe one of the random not top three comes hot and champs and pulls out some weird stuff, strats and like that, and it just rolls through.
I I don't think that's gonna happen personally,
Yeah,
but I would love to see it happen. That one I would say is your boldest one, because picking anybody other than the top 3 to win champs, I would say is a crazy bold prediction. I think everybody in the community would agree with that.
yeah, agreed. You know, but like these storied runs from these teams that aren't the best.
I would love to see it.
It'll make for a great story Call of Duty season.
Yeah, it would be certainly something to see.
Yeah,
Um, I guess I have one that I'm just gonna, like, briefly mention, but, like, it's hard for us to, like, quantify and talk about. But I think this is gonna be, like, we might break some viewership records this year. I'm just being super optimistic about the CDL. I think CDL might break some viewership records, uh, because I think this game's gonna be really entertaining. And, like, I'm thinking for the first event, because I'm thinking, like, people are really hyped that it's Treyarch. People have loved watching Black Ops games. Like, every Black Ops game has been awesome to watch, specifically BO2, BO3, and BO4
hmm,
have been just awesome to watch. I think we're going to break some early season viewership records with the season being early and stuff. Although the major, I guess, is kind of pushed back. So I just wanted to brush over that one, but that's not the one I really want to talk about. The one I want to talk about for my final one is, I think this year we are going to see the most. And this is, once again, hard to quantify. It's like we'll have to compare it like towards the end, but I think we're going to see overall across the board one of the most successful years of challenger pickups.
I like it.
And the reason I say that goes directly into our next topic after this, which is rookie of the year. It's because there were damn near no challenger pickups this year.
Yeah, no
So,
like
like,
rookies.
yeah, I mean, it's literally Rencor if he starts for Miami, and then the Falcon squad. And we were going through it. There's 0 other rookies in the league this year, and, like, none of the players are even that new. They're basically all players that we've seen. Like, even, like, guys that are, like, kinda new that weren't in playing last year, like Mac is a player that we know well. Like, I mean, obviously, he's not a rookie, he's played multiple years, but, like, we know him very well. Like, there are a lot of recycled players, and I feel like since there are a lot of recycled players, we're gonna see, like, turnover quickly. Like, we've seen Hixie before. If he isn't playing well, I think he's gonna be replaced quickly. I think a lot of these teams know they have a chance to be in the top 4 since there's only, like, 3 stud teams. I think if people aren't playing well, they're gonna have a quick trigger and pull them out.
hmm Yep.
And I think this year we also see more teams willing to make changes, because, like, last year we knew LAG just, like, wasn't gonna make a change with their financial situation. I guess maybe Boston might not, since they
Yeah.
just, like, ran back their same roster. Maybe they won't make changes because of their financial situation. But overall, uh, I don't I think we're gonna see a very successful year for challengers because nobody was picked up. So I feel like that means like, the talent's still down there. Like some of them are going to get picked up, and I think they're gonna have immediate impacts because I feel like a lot of this year, Brock, too, is not gonna be as much like team building and strategy with pickups. I think we're gonna see the players that can't keep up in this super fast game, and they're gonna get replaced for players that are a lot more slay heavy and challengers. And I feel like it's gonna be like a little more of a just like head bashing game where if you just pick up talent, it equates to your team at least getting marginally better.
Yeah. I like it.
All right, where are you going for your next one? Do you agree with the challengers take? I guess you think we're going to see a influx of challengers players, or are you kind of looking at the rosters like we said earlier, where we like kind of believe the rosters are good and you just don't think that many changes are going to be made? I also
Mm,
pondered that thought too. Like, are changes not going to be made since we like as many rosters? But there are always rosters that you like that turn out to be not so good.
yeah. And there's definitely will be changes. That's just like how it is. Even though we like most of these rosters, but like at some point, one of these like players might fall off or have a tough major or two, and that would likely be a substitute in and out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always bound to have. It wouldn't be a CDL year if some teams that were expected to be decent were not that good, and then they started to fall off. It wouldn't be a year without that. Like that's bound
Yeah,
to happen.
yeah.
All
All
right, where are you
right.
going next?
My next one, this might be the boldest one of them all.
Oh boy, you've had some bold ones already, so I'm interested in this.
I said the Las Vegas Falcons will make champs.
Okay, so obviously that means four other. Do you think it's going to be through? Are they going to make changes or the roster? They're going to stick with the roster. They're going to make champs.
I think the roster is going to struggle heavy at first, but they're going to keep learning. After the major one, and have some good online performances after that, and just kind of be like team camaraderie, and get through that and make a way to champs push towards the end.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, it. I don't see it happening, but it is very bold, obviously, because like they are definitely. If you laid out a list of betting odds for qualifying for champs, they would certainly be in last. Like they would certainly have the longest odds.
Yeah.
Because like every other team is filled with players with experience and like CDL time and like players that have been pros for at least some time, and this team is like literally no pro experience. The only experience they have is playing a little bit of EU challengers and then challengers and then just that experience at EWC where they actually didn't look the worst. They
Mhm.
definitely had some mechanical skill. You could see it there.
Yeah.
um I don't hate it, but it is definitely bold.
Yeah.
Who do you have in mind what four teams they're going to beat out? I mean, I know that's a lot, but
mm, Thinking maybe heretics. Maybe I could see in a world where Rocker struggles a lot with the lack of like leadership. Even though, but
yeah.
they're pretty good like individual players.
I mean, your prediction is going to require teams that we thought might be pretty good to just underperform. It's really, I feel like Boston would definitely have to be one of those teams
Boston
too.
definitely. Yeah.
And then you're going to have like a surprise team. Like you're going to have like a Cloud9 or like a Gentlemates or Carolina. You're going to have one of these teams underperform that we expect to maybe not be like the best, but like team that we expect to be a top 8 team just completely underperform. I feel like.
Yeah. It's gonna take a lot definitely for this bold statement.
It would be a crazy entertaining thing. Like I hope it happens. It'd be very entertaining.
Yeah, it definitely would. Like play four unknown players really we don't never really heard of just somehow make it the champs first year playing
Well, it would be
in
an awesome
professional.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be an awesome story in terms of like these guys like have never played anything close to this level and they just like come in and they obviously like we're expecting them to start out slow, like you said. So like they came in and had this crazy turnaround. I mean, they do, Brock. We forgot to mention it. They do have
That's
Clayster,
right. They did pick up Clayster as the coach.
which respect to Clay, because I bet you he got a bag to coach this team. That's why he retired.
Oh,
He got more to be a coach than a player, I bet.
he probably got big bag.
Which respect to Clay. Chase
Yep.
the money, respect to Clay. But also like all jokes aside, like expect him. I mean, the guy's a 3-time world champ. He's one of the best players to ever do it, like top 5 player all time. Like I expect him very knowledgeable. I expect him to be a pretty good coach. Like I feel like he's going to understand what players need and like he understands like what helps vibes in the camp and stuff. Like he's a very knowledgeable player. I expect Clay to be a very good coach, and he truthfully, like all jokes aside, could really help this team improve quicker than we expect because he is going to be able to teach them a lot.
Yep.
Also, assuming that means that I don't honestly don't know how much English the players speak, or maybe they'll have a translator and stuff, but I don't know their level of English or if it will be like a translator situation. I'm assuming because I think Clay's in Texas, they're probably playing from Texas then.
Yeah, I would have to assume so.
Yeah. But very, very interesting predictions, Brock. Let's do our couple award predictions that we wanted to do. So we were gonna do MVP, most improved, and rookie of the year. But Brock, rookie of the year, we were just talking about the teams. There basically isn't currently choices besides Falcons and then Rencor if he starts. There
Yeah,
literally isn't a
there's
single
not
other rookie.
much. Yeah.
Especially like if Vickle starts over Rencor, it's literally the Falcons roster.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't see Heretics having a great year, even with, Rencor in there. So maybe if like not many pickups happen, he wins rookie of the year. Maybe a guy on Falcons really does perform very well. They win rookie of the year. But my rookie of the year, I'm listing as challenger player. I think somebody that gets picked up is going to win it.
Yeah, I also have that since
Yeah.
there's minimal rookies, like you said.
I mean, it's not even like we're like trying to discount any players, but literally the only options for rookie of the year currently like on rosters would be Rencor or the Falcons roster.
Yeah. Not sure
So,
what challenger player rookie, but just one of them.
yeah, it's gotta be somebody. I do think a player that's gonna get picked up out of challengers and have a major impact this year, not a rookie, obviously, is huke.
Yep.
This game is just so I mean, it's just head bash, just
It's
crackhead, get in engagements and just start frying, and huke is built for that.
Yep. Maybe Surge should have kept them.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how this year goes for Hixie and O4 over there. But
Yep.
Brock, who you going for? We'll do MVP last. Who you going for most improved? I'm wondering if we're gonna have the same player for this.
Most improved. I do not think we'll have the same player. I went for this player struggled last year because his team was very not good for the whole year, and now he's on a team with familiarity with his gentleman squad and his Priesta.
You love Priesta.
Hey, just like he had a kind of a comeback year in 2 years ago when they won champs. Gonna do it again.
Okay, I mean, I don't hate it.
I do love Priesta though. I had to put him.
I can see the path for it, and obviously he is a very good candidate for it because he was very bad last year, and so I guess we're kind of doing like a hybrid most improved comeback player. I guess is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, because like most improved so hard because like COD players you go up and down, up and down, up and down depending on how good you are at a title. Uh, so we're doing like a half most feared or not most feared, most improved slash comeback player. So Priest is definitely a good candidate because he was terrible last year. Uh, Players I looked at most improved like Mac for like the comeback aspect, but I didn't want to put him. People are really high on Snoopy, but like they say he looks so good in this game, but I am just not that high, so I just couldn't put him. Um, I thought about potentially putting like a Hixie, something like that. I really wanted to put Vivid for the comeback aspect because I think Vivid is going to be really good this year, but I settled on Beans
Okay.
because I feel like Beans individually, we've seen him be like a good player here and there, but like I feel like he has a very low stock in the league compared to for like a lot of people besides us because he's been on such bad teams. I don't think it's been his fault. I think this year he's on a good team. I think his team is going to be really good. I think he's going to be like a stud slayer in this game. People are going to be looking at Beans as like a top tier AR after this year. So I'm going to consider him to be the most improved.
I like it. I like Beans. Definitely a shooter. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I hope he's able to have a good placement year because I do want to see him like he gets hyped on the stage. He'll talk trash. Like I want to see him in like a moment playing for a top 4, playing to make it to a Sunday because we haven't really seen that much because he's been on such bad teams. So I want to see him like playing, for that like big time moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like playing for a top 4, maybe playing on a champs Sunday. Like I want to see that out of Beans because I like Beans a lot. We always are supporting Beans and stuff. He's always liking tweets and showing love. So we like Beans.
Yep. Shout out Beans.
Then Brock, MVP.
Oh
I
man.
guess MVP is such an interesting award because in all likelihood, it's got to come from 3 teams, like one of 3 teams.
Yeah, it does.
Because just like in sports, usually your team has to have pretty good success to win MVP. So the obvious safest bets for the three or for the MVP would come from the three teams that we are like pretty damn sure are going to be top three in the standings.
Yep.
I guess is your player from one of those three teams?
Yes, it is.
So we'll say that, and then how about after we'll just both on the fly come up with a player that we think could win MVP from outside the top three because I think it's pretty fair that everybody's going to predict somebody in the top three.
Yep. We could do that.
All right. So who did you go with?
For the inside the top three,
Yeah.
I went for shottzyy because he is the movement king, movement whatever you want to call him, and he's gonna probably have to do what he did last year, but maybe this year not have a little bit of a rough patch, and he'll definitely win. I can see him winning MVP. I just think on like not Atlanta, LET that Hydra and Scrap will just kind of cancel each other out for the MVP race, and
That's definitely fair.
like Phase, I don't see Simp really winning it again, or I don't really see like a BZ or some winning it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't. I like to pick shotzzy. I mean, this game seems to be like handmade, handpicked for shotzzy to be an incredible player at. Like the game's focus is all about this movement, and obviously we know shotzy's the movement king. I would agree. Simp to me seems like an extreme long shot because I doubt that they're going to give him a third MVP unless I feel like Simp has to be like very like a lot better than the next guy in order to win it because I doubt they want to give him a third MVP.
Yeah,
Uh, then you look at a guy like Draza. He's very good, but I don't know if he's going to be at that MVP level numbers. Celium, I think people are kind of over like the gaudy like KD numbers he puts up.
hmm
Uh, so I don't know that I see him winning it. I think a BZ is a decent candidate for this year though, because he won what like the champs MVP that one year, but
uh,
he's never won regular season MVP.
yeah. I think he won champs Cold War.
Yeah, and like I mean, this game is. I mean, also speaking of ready made for shotzzy, this game is made for a BZ as well. Like
hmm
super fast paced, get in your face. So like I don't think a BZ is a terrible pick. On Optic, Shotzi's definitely the best pick. I don't see anybody on Optic winning it besides Shotzi and maybe Pred, but Kenny and Dashy probably aren't going to put up like the superstar numbers.
Yeah,
I went with Scrap.
I like it.
I
Definitely a
just
good
I don't
choice.
know. I don't see them giving it to anyone on Optic. I do think Shotzi's a very good. He'll probably finish top three for sure. I think Hydra's going to have really good numbers, but once again, the voter fatigue is a real thing. Like Hydra has an MVP. I don't know that they'll give him another one. Scrap has been second, like back to back years now since he's gotten in the league. I think he's going to put up huge numbers in this game. I think there's going to be like LA Thieves, you finished top three, you won a couple events or something. Scraps MVP. I think they're finally going to give it to him since he's been second a couple times. But my other obvious top candidates, I'd say Hydra, Shotzzy, and I really just don't think they're going to give it to Simp no matter like what, unless he's just so amazing. So my other top three with them, I'm going to say Shotzzy, Hydra, Abizi.
Like it. My second was definitely Scrap,
Yeah.
and then
Just feels
third,
like he's been knocking on the door for so long.
yeah, she's so close, and it's like it's on your own. Just Simp wins it or Hydra wins it. And my
Yeah, this
third,
divisional league, yeah.
I'll go. I like the BZ pick for third. I'll go third BZ.
This game, like, I feel like he's being slept on a little bit because, I mean, like, there's so many good players inside this top three, and it's like, oh, like, we're coming off a champs win from Optic, and this game is so much movement. Like, Shotzi's going to be so good. And, like, Hydra Scrap is such a duo, and it's like, since they didn't make a roster change and they didn't win champs, it's like FaZe is like kind of the forgotten team. But like, I mean, we've seen this trio on Treyarch, Cold War, they were dominant. Simpa as a duo on Black Ops 4, dominant. They won champs. Like Simpa as a duo have won champs on both Treyarch titles they played.
They have, and that's scary to think about.
They have never lost the champs on a Treyarch title when they've been together.
Jeez,
All
who
right, Brock.
know?
Outside the top three, who would you say like if a team outside the top three makes a run, who do you have like who's that player that's MVP?
When you first said that, what came to mind was definitely Sib on Cloud9 for me.
I was just thinking he was like definitely in like the first three names that came to mind. I would say Beans as well because I do think like I said, I think he's going to be the most improved. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think Toronto's going to be good. But if there's a team that makes a run, I've been putting my faith in them because I love them all off season. I think it's Gwyn.
Okay.
I think Gwyn. Now this obviously would require. I don't know if Carolina is going to be that good. They're like my hot take that I want them to be really good because I love the team. But my take is that I think Gwyn would be the MVP because he was the rookie of the year last year. He is obviously like going to be a really aggressive player in this game. Like he's gonna like have a lot on his plate. Probably gonna have to put up big numbers. And I feel like if Carolina is really good, it's going to be because Gwyn is performing very well.
I like it. Yeah. Definitely a good shout.
Yeah, I think Sib is also a very good shout from you. Another one, Abuza. If Vancouver is able to like have a really good year, I just don't think the team is going to be that good. But if they are really good, I think it's going to be because Abuza is just like cooking, like just cooking everyone.
Yeah. Like we saw at champs last year, just
He was frying at James.
cooking. Yeah.
He was frying at James.
Yeah, that was crazy out of him.
All right, you got anything else, Brock? Before we wrap this one up, I think that's all we got.
I don't remember if we did talk about Doug Sensorbarn officially getting the pull-up record.
Oh, we didn't. Yes, that's right. He resubmitted or whatever, and he officially got the pull up record. So shout out to Doug. That is still like
Insane
literally.
achievement.
I still feel like I like can't fully wrap my head around what he did because whatever it was, how many thousands of pull ups is like doing 100 pull ups is like hella impressive. To be honest, like pull
Yeah,
ups are not an easy feat. Like obviously, like not an easy feat to do in the gym. Just doing thousands of pull ups in a 24-hour stretch is like I feel like you can't. You hear it and you're like, wow, that's a lot, but it's like one of those things you can't like wrap your head around how actually insane that is.
yeah, like that. It's just an insane achievement, and Doug is that guy doing that stuff,
Yeah,
persevering.
it's only for somebody like Doug that is just crazy enough to work hard enough to be able to accomplish that. Like it's only people like Doug that can do that are just like crazy enough. Like that's like something a normal human looks at and they're like, yeah, that's like impossible. Like that's so hard to do. And Doug just looks at it as like, oh yeah, this is a nice fun challenge. Like Doug is a
Yeah,
psychopath in the best way.
yeah. It just I don't know how he's able to do pull-ups after like 4,000 is all that fatigue and stuff. That just is crazy.
His hands are all messed up and all that. And like also like shout out to him, he did it. Like I forget it was a cancer charity. I forget. I think it was like pancreatic cancer.
uh,
Doing it for a really good cause too.
yep, yep. So shout out Doug. Just want to add that in there.
Yeah, that is a good shout.
Other than
Make
that,
sure,
don't got
oh,
anything else.
yes, make sure down in the comments to wish Brock a happy birthday. It is his birthday today as we're recording this and as it's getting posted. So wish him a happy birthday. Also, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this one. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We'll see you next week. I think we might have something on deck for next week. I'm not exactly sure. Trying to get something in before the season. Also, yeah, if you got to this point, comment down below if you'd be interested in a fantasy league. I'm not sure how or exactly like if, when, we're gonna run it, but if we have enough interest, we can maybe start one up. So comment down below if you're interested in potentially doing a fantasy COD league. That could be really fun to do with all the listeners. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.